Today I want to share a book with you that's all about using up your fabric scraps. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts, and today I'm taking a look at Rainbow Quilts for Scrap Lovers. It's by Judy Gauthier. Now this book isn't brand new. It was published in 2017, but that doesn't mean anything, right? So it's a great book to use up some of your fabric scraps. And if you're familiar with Judy Gauthier, she has other books using your fabric scraps as well. And I gotta say, I love her designs, and I hope you will too. So let's take a look at what's happening in this particular book. So, for example, first off, she talks about having these leftovers. Now, what I thought was really funny about this book, Judy has a great sense of humor. And when she talks about this at the beginning, she talks about a sprite. Do you have a sprite? Okay, a little strange introduction for a scrapbook, but once I read through it, I went, oh, can I ever relate to this? So she talks about, I'll just read it to you. In all of our sewing rooms lives a sprite. She is lively, loves color, and has an aversion to discarding things that have meaning and are beautiful. Late at night, when most sewists are sound asleep, she rummages through the colorful scraps in the sewing room and duplicates them. They begin to multiply. Eventually, they take over the room. She doesn't complete her work in one night. Oh no, it takes some time. If she did this in a single night, it would become evident too quickly to the sewist in the house. The sprite must go about her work cautiously so as not to be found out. It's the only explanation. Surely no one in their right mind would have such a huge collection of scraps, and she goes on. But I often say that I think that fabric scraps breed in the dark because it seems like no matter how many of them I use, there's always as many, if not more, in my scrap bins. So I had to kind of laugh about this because it's so true, right? It's like you think you're using up a lot of them and there's still always more. And of course, as we make new quilts, we get more fabric scraps too. So you can see her sense of humor just by that introduction. But she talks about color too. So she will go into detail about color choices and why it's important to use in these quilts. And also I thought this was interesting, finding inspiration in unusual places. So when you're out and about and you see colors you like, maybe you even see them in store windows in a display. Maybe you see them, in this case, she's looking at Fiesta wear. Maybe you see them, when you go into a clothing store even and how they have different colored clothes arranged. So you can find inspiration in color arrangements in lots of different places that you might not usually think. So make sure you got your phone with you and snap some photos when you're out if you see something that really catches your eye, because it might make a wonderful quilt. I wanted to take a look at a few of the patterns in this book. This one's called The Circus Comes to Town. I think this is super cute. I love all the triangles in it and the little circles as well. Reminds me of the big top, right? But what is really interesting, I think, and I really appreciate in her books, is that she shows you how to make these different shapes. In this case, we're making different triangles, but you'll see as we go along, there's other shapes she uses as well, and you don't need a special tool. You don't need a special ruler to make these. She'll show you, in this particular case, we're just cutting across the triangle, but as we get in a little more, she'll actually explain how to use your regular cutting ruler to make these cuts to give these different shapes that she's using in the quilts. But she gives you step-by-step instructions on how to create those and how to put them together. As you go along, there's different light ones or gray ones, you might say, light colored triangle units, and then the more colorful ones that she puts together. Okay, and the circles are fused in this one, just to let you know. Here's another one called Blended Hexagons. Cool edge finish, so that's something a little bit different. And you've got these hexagons. And remember how I told you she doesn't need, or you don't need, I should say, a specific tool to make these hexagons in this particular case? Well, here's an example. So she's taking her ruler and her rotary cutter and she's marking 1 3/16 in from the top and bottom sides, along the top and the bottom, and then she's using her ruler to cut across it, and that's what's making these shapes. They're going to form hexagons. You can also use a 60-degree line on your ruler if you have that. But I like this because I don't like to have to go out and buy a special tool that I might only use once or twice. So I really appreciate the fact that I don't have to do that for any of these quilts. Here's another little one that's really cute, Star Baby. It's got these little yo-yos in the center, gives you a nice textured look to the quilt as well. Again, we're marking in 1 3/16 of an inch in from the top and bottom, on the top and the bottom, in from the sides, I should say, to make these little hexagons, or stars, I guess they're little stars really, that you're going to put together. So very cool. And also she's showing you different colors, like if you notice on these different ones that you have a lighter fabric and a darker fabric, so it gives it more of that dimensional look. Something else to be aware of when you're talking about color in your fabrics, right? This is the one that really got me in this book because I love owls. Owls well, that ends well. Okay, this is a 60.5-inch square quilt. Very cute with these little owls, right? And this is a lot of stitch and flip going on here. So these are simple techniques, okay? They give you some really interesting results, but simple techniques. So even a beginner could make these quilts. And of course, you're using up some of your scrap fabrics as well. Another one I liked, I love arrows. So I thought this was really cool. William Tell, great name for this, right? So these ones here, as you can see, you've got the wider arrows and you've got the narrower arrows. So even though she's got them in this format, you could take that block and put them together in different ways if you wanted to as well. And then here, like this is kind of the more scrappy looking scrap quilt, if you will, in this book. This is more I think of when I think of fabric scraps, right? But there's still something going on in these, right? So you can see we've got a lighter, what reads lighter or darker in all these blocks, and the colors go together, right? It's not just any colors put together. So there's a lot of thinking going on in here. So you've got the different color in the center. You've got actually three. You've got the color in the center, which is the same as the outside border, and then you've got another color, a contrasting color that's going on. So very cool. This is another 66.5-inch quilt, but easy construction techniques. Okay, and she's showing you how to use, they do use some square templates that you can get from C&T Publishing, but you don't have to do that. You could use your own ruler and it would work just as well. So those are some of the designs that are in Rainbow Quilts by Judy Gauthier. I like the fact that they're all a little different. I like the fact that you can use your scraps in them, and I really like the fact that I don't have to go and buy a special tool to make these projects. So if you want to use up some of your fabric scraps and make some really interesting quilts, I suggest you look at Rainbow Quilts for Scrap Lovers by Judy Gauthier. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your quilting friends. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. Before you go, check out these other videos I've selected just for you. For more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.